Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Inhumans. Another great episode with so much interesting stuff that went down in this episode, so let's get right into it and break it down. This episode is really kind of centering around the fact of the matter is each member of the royal family has gone off and kind of created bonds with someone else. Obviously, there's the dude that Black Bolt broke out of prison with last episode, Medusa and Louise, Crystal, and the dude that ran over Lockjaw last episode, Dave. I kind of felt like that's where that storyline was heading. Interestingly enough, his girlfriend Audrey, that actress, I'm blanking on her name. I want to say her character's name was Abby in the Netflix show Santa Clarita, and she's also in some other movie, and I can't remember what movie it was. It was a movie that came out. Was it this year that movie came out? I think it was. But she's kind of acting as like Lockjaw's doctor, and it's just like they're kind of like, whoa, what teleporting dog and everything like that. So handled that situation a lot better than I thought they would, just coming upon it. Then you had the whole Chin and Karnak situation, and Gorgon and his the people he met up with, just all over the board. Like I said, I'm gonna just break everything bit by bit. Obviously, the Luis situation. Being forced by like Medusa to track down a helicopter and everything, and then like Luis is like scared at first, but then the moment she figures out, oh, you're from the moon and everything, oh my god, the readings I got before, like this is amazing. She's getting to spend so much time with Medusa and learn so much about the moon and Adeline. It's like, oh, the reason we can find it reflective coating around the sea. Oh my god, you're the queen? What? How did you get here in the first place? You know, my sister, tell me, don't be silly. It was like, well, how did you get here in the first place? My sister's teleporting dog. It's just, what? And just, I love it. And there was even that dude that's like, oh yeah, how was your day? And she's like, this is the best day ever. And it's like, Luis is geeking out, and I love it. I don't know, I love it when characters geek out about like stuff. It's like you're geeking out about it, and you have a character geeking out. You're like, I know. It's like Luis is there to literally represent the audience and be like, how cool is this shit? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's so cool. I need to calm down. I do apologize. It's just like, this episode was easily like a mixture of like fun as well as plot development and seriousness, especially when it comes to like Medusa and Luis, because I was curious what that whole like little rocket shit was all about. Apparently that's like the ashes of her dad, and like it's because her dad was a very smart dude, scientist, but he was never able to get to the moon. It was one of his dreams, and it's like, you know, Medusa kind of slammed it a little bit, being like it was stupid of him to even try and think like that, like. You know, basically the fact that he didn't do it means it's meaningless, because she was also talking her own respective situation of like how her parents died. Well, they were quote unquote banished. So I don't know. Like in the past, it sounds like the king said that they were banished, but she says that they were killed. So not unless they were banished and then they were killed afterwards. It's like when you're banished, where do you go? Do they send you to Earth? Or like what does banishment mean on the moon? Because Adeline's the only city on the moon. So not unless there's some outskirts, or maybe there's some like slum sector that people getting, like, I'm curious like what that actually means. But basically her parents quote unquote died because of their ideals and their beliefs, not believing in the current system and stuff, much like Maximus. Obviously Maximus is very different, but which I'm very curious to learn more about, like how did they end up in that respective situation. We got little tidbits here and there about Medusa and Black Bolt, but it's like, how did that come to be? Like, and that was something that, you know, Maximus kind of tugged at when it came to like Crystal. It's like your parents didn't believe in this like whole situation, but the fact of the matter is here you are, princess to Adeline. So it's like, how do almost kind of making it seem like wouldn't your parents be disappointed in what you're doing, essentially, that you are representing the same thing that the royal family that they despise and try so hard to fight against. So there's that. I mean, to be fair, there might be more there's probably more to that story. Maybe they were actually bad guys, or maybe they were good guys and just the previous king and queen didn't handle things properly. I don't know. I'd love to learn like how things came to be, because it doesn't seem like it's a situation of Medusa was forced into the situation, because it seems like she legitimately loves Black Bolt. It's not like an arranged marriage of just like, oh, we're just hit together like for whatever reason. Because I feel like out of anyone, like it had to be like a mutual thing, because I think for Black Bolt is like, you know, as stuff in the past is kind of inclined, like it seems like Medusa's the only person that ever got close to him. She's the only person that was never afraid of him because of his ability. Everyone else had him locked up and everything. So, well, I don't, you know, I think that's a combination of him locking himself away. Well, that's why he does it now, is because they locked him away back then, and now he uses it as a means of just to think and kind of collect the thought and get away from everybody. So, because that moment of like, you know, she was just like, I have to find my husband, like, you know, above any, like, she has to find her family, but it's just like, you see her desperately trying to get back to Black Bolt. In that moment, they find each other again. They run up and they like start making out heavily, obviously. Even him looking at her hair like, wait, what's... And it's like, Maximus. It's like, yeah, Maximus, you messed up because Black Bolt's probably going to kick your ass for that. Well, once again, it's like, it's a situation of like, that is a part of her, you know? So beyond just like, it's a cosmetic thing. It's like legitimately her hair is a part of her, you know, the whole Medusa situation, and being able to control her hair plays into her. I guess arguably you could say like, that was almost Maximus kind of projecting his own situation upon her. It's not something I really gave like thought about it too much, but it's like, he's stuck being a human, which I'll kind of dive into a little bit more in this episode. We kind of learned about that last episode, but like by shaving her head, he kind of almost made her the same situation, because it seems like, you know, he's always had a thing for her, and it's always like, oh, you should have picked me over my brother type of thing. So maybe that was his way to kind of make her like, oh, without your hair, you're not an inhuman. You're almost basically the same thing as me, just a human. So, but kind of getting back to Maximus' whole situation. It seems like he's working with Declan, Dr. Declan, which is kind of interesting. And immediately I was like, you don't know who Maximus are. It really is, do you? And it seems like, oh, like we'll meet. Can't wait to the day we meet face to face. It's like, no. Like, so it seems like what I'm curious about is either, you know, Maximus has contacts on Earth, or the fact of the matter is, at some point in the past, Maximus has been sneaking back and forth to Earth and the moon, because, like, obviously the people that attacked Triton in the first episode, and now this, it's like, how did you set that all up? How did you get in contact with Declan? Like, maybe he doesn't actually have any, maybe he obviously, like, it seems like he's pretending to be on Earth, that he's just some regular dude, so he probably got in contact with Declan, maybe using Adeline's, like, intel and stuff like that, maybe from previous people who've gone down to Earth or whatever. I don't think they really talked too much about anyone actually going to Earth, like, prior to this whole situation. So, I mean, we'll just kind of have to wait and learn about that, you know, if they decide to kind of really dive any deeper into that. So, it seems like Black Bolt in particular, but I mean, granted, it might not just apply to Black Bolt, it might apply to anyone that's from Adeline who grew up on the moon. It's the fact of the matter is, like, they're not, like, I kind of use this example. Didn't I literally use this yesterday in something? I don't remember what it was I used it for. But essentially, maybe, like, the people on Earth, like, their bloodlines have become so diluted from, like, the original Inhumans from years and years and years and years ago, before a large number of them left for the moon, that, you know, maybe their blood is so diluted, but the fact of the matter is their biology is very different from, like, Black Bolt's, because it's like, you know, Declan was examining him and there's a lot more there, to the point he's kind of like, the fact of the matter is, if he can understand Black Bolt's physiology, basically he might be able to kind of replicate that. Like, you know, there's no telling what we could do with what's inside of him, being able to cure cancer and stuff like that. And obviously he's like, oh, you could be anything. So alluding to the fact is that we might be able to kind of genetically make people Inhumans, whether or not, no matter their circumstances. Maybe Maximus' situation would be a little bit different, because he originally is an Inhuman that got turned human because of, like, over Terrigenesis or whatever. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe, or maybe it just applies to, like, hey, going forward, we can make any human that same way. It doesn't seem like he has the worst of intentions, but it seems like he might not be 100% on the up and up, because all the Inhumans they have captured, because even Black Bolt and his buddy were like, the fact of the matter is, like, who's to say that these Inhumans here aren't, like, captured, you know, captured, because let's not forget, like, in the word is, in, you know, that his friend told him last episode, Inhumans have been up and disappearing lately, so it's like, this might have something to do with it. Most likely has something to do with it. So I was like, oh, maybe he's on the good side. But it's like, no, it seems like he might be in the realms of the mad scientist type of thing. I mean, that might kind of be I'm curious to see if that's the direction they're going to take with Maximus. Kind of the mad scientist willing to do whatever it takes to get power, to kind of make up for the fact that he, like, I've seen pictures of Maximus, like, from the comic books. I've seen one in particular that they've used to represent him, but beyond that, I don't know anything. Like, the picture doesn't really tell me whether he ever becomes an Inhuman or not, so I'm not trying to find out, though, because that will spoil the show. But I am curious, because I brought it up last episode. I was like, I kind of like him to stay human, just to add add that angle of just hating his brother that much more because, oh, you're an inhuman and I'm not. I got turned to a human. It should be me, you know, adding to all the reasons why he hates his brother, you know? So it's actually kind of interesting because he hates his brother so much, but now he needs to let his brother live. He wanted to kill his brother so badly, but he can't now because his brother is the only means of ever possibly, you know, making him an inhuman again. So that kind of goes back to the fact is it might not just be everyone for Adel, and Black Bolt might be an exception. I mean, because even Declan said, I mean, everyone's kind of said it, like Black Bolt's ability might be the strongest inhuman ability that's ever existed. You know, with an utter of a word, he could destroy an entire city. You know, he can cause massive amounts of damage. So, and it also seems like I was wrong. I was wondering if Declan was going to be the same person that Luis is working for, but it turns out that's a completely different person. Like the person Luis is working for, the whole aerospace situation, just some like super rich person all on their own. Seems like, I mean, like I said, Declan seems like he's on it. Like I thought they were the same person, but it seems like it's not the case. I am curious to see what happens to Black Bolt's friend, like, because he ended up running away before like everything went crazy. So I'm also curious about Auron too, because it seems like they're kind of pushing her story in a certain direction because she was like, we need to kill Black Bolt because he, you know, our plan hinges on it. And Maximus is like, our plan? And she's like, your plan. It's like, okay. But I guess more so than anything, that's supposed to be like Maximus be like, yeah, know where you are. I'm the king in this situation. You're just a follower. Shoo, go do what you need to do, essentially. So I don't know. Which Maximus is taking out. He ended up taking out the genetic council, at least most of them, mainly because it's like, well, they wouldn't 100% agree with the fact is that he wants to do what he wants to do, like the whole Terrigenesis thing again. Like the moment he like gets any test results back from Declan of like, oh, maybe like, oh, inject himself with whatever he needs to unlock the potential to be an inhuman again, then go through Terrigenesis, and this time, you know, he'd be as powerful as, I don't know, you know. I'd be kind of curious to know, like, if he became an inhuman. Like, would this situation change what his ability is? Because, like, remember, like, it's something Lincoln always brought up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's always a counterbalance that basically Inhumans kind of follow a sense of nature that basically if one power exists, there has to be another to kind of balance it. So basically Black Bolt having the ability he has, most likely meaning that whatever it is, Maximus will have an ability that is equivalent to it that counteracts it. You know, it's just like, whereas there's fire, there's water, you know, kind of, you know, that whole elemental game thing. If you go in like, you know, RPG standards, how like every element has its weakness. Fire has water, wind, earth, so on and so forth. I mean, that really depends on the nature of the game and stuff like that, but that's going down that weebish, nerdy road. So let's not go too far down that with tangents and stuff like that. But essentially, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not sure what it would be exactly, but I think it would exist specifically to counter Black Bolt's ability. So it might have something to do with hearing, I would think, but I mean, maybe not. I don't know. We would just have to wait and see if he ever gets that opportunity to become an inhuman. Like I say, because what I was getting to before was because he got turned human, could it be that his power is different now from what it was originally supposed to be, or was he always meant to be human? Like, I mean, that was kind of like it was a fluke situation that just kind of things turned out the way they did, or maybe that's how in the nature of things he was always meant to be one, or maybe he just thinks he's human, that basically there's a secret hidden underneath him that maybe the whole situation when Black Bolt, whatever's inside of him, will help unlock it. I don't know, like surmising a lot of stuff. This episode we had Gorgon and his pals. Sadly, the dude from last episode got acid burned that Gorgon got. Sadly, his name's Lucky. Sadly, he didn't make it. And this kind of got Gorgon being like, we need to stop. They're like, nah, man, we're going to back you up. It's like, yeah, this things might seem impossible, but that doesn't mean we can't win. Well, ultimately, Gorgon leaves him behind because he's like, for one, he's like, I got to find Karnak because Karnak's going to be the key to everything, which we know what situation Karnak's in right now. So, and Karnak having a lot of doubt in himself and being like, I don't know if I could be much use to my family in my current situation. Hence the whole like staying with the group that he's with now. So Gorgon's going off on his own because it's like, hey, you guys have my back, and it's like, you know, I can't imagine you guys being hurt because, you know, you kind of, you know, because even he's surprised because like I never thought I'd actually care about humans, and here I am caring about humans, wanting to make sure you're safe. So he's keeping them out of this. And then going back to like what I was just alluding to, Karnak, him and Jen are getting super close, getting into water and everything. She's kind of in the counterbalance to him because Karnak is always in his head, which is why, like, at the first episode kind of already established, like, his luck with women, just because of, like, the way his brain works, the way he's always inside of his head. He can always see the possibilities of how things will run out. So, but it seems like in this particular situation, because of a blessing in a sense, I think it's finally taking, basically this whole situation is making Karnak live without his abilities, not knowing the possibilities and just going with the flow of things. You know, maybe it'll change his approach going forward with a series of being like, he doesn't have to be so stuck in his ways, that basically maybe learn different ways to utilize his ability going forward. Because Jin seems to be more like a, hey, go with the wind type of person, which is the complete opposite of Karnak, who is always like, everything has to be calculated, has to be exactly right. So, which that situation is getting super deadly because Dude ended up killing the other dude on their team, which is like, why did you do that? Is it, you know, because it's like, oh, like, because the guy had earlier brought it up, like, oh yeah, we could always use more people, you know, use more hands around here. And it's like, so I guess he killed him because like Karnak's here now, so it's like, 3 is a magic number. We don't need 4 people around. That's more money that have to get split up this way. It's only 3. And eventually maybe he ended up killing Karnak. Part of me was wondering if it was out of jealousy, which maybe that plays a part in it. It does seem like Karnak kind of figured him out. It's kind of like the guy's kind of got psychopathic tendencies just like from examining him and stuff like that. Because amongst the 3 of them, he was like the most violent, the most willing to kill Karnak right from the beginning and everything. It's like, yeah, sure, there's a whole illegal aspect of what they're doing, but still, like, you don't see Jin and the other dude acting like that. So I was like, the fact that he was digging a grave, I was like, oh my god, he's going to dig a grave for both of them. And it's like, oh, actually, there's the dude that he said went to the store or whatever, he's dead. Oh, okay. So there's that. Really quickly, one last thing I want to bring up too is I'm actually surprised the whole situation with Mortis didn't turn out worse than it did. Because I'm very curious to find out like more about his situation too. Because it seemed like, because even he walked up to Black Bolt being like, you were supposedly one of the strongest Inhumans. You want to test that? So has Black Bolt and him, like, I mean, because Black Bolt doesn't really use his ability. Like, ever since he was, like, you know, probably killed his parents, that was the last time he's probably ever spoken or used his ability. So he's always made sure to keep quiet. It's actually something Declan kind of got at, too. He's like, yeah, with one little whisper or anything, you could easily end up killing your wife in your sleep or something. But, like, over the years, he's managed to not do that. So, like I said, it seems like the only people who's ever killed were, sadly, his parents. So, I mean, he's disciplined himself heavily because he knows just how dangerous his power is. So, like, I am curious to find out, will he ever, once again, don't know comic books, so I don't know if he ever learned how to properly control that, or is he always, like, a mute even in the comic books. But the thing is, like, I thought it was going to be a situation where ultimately he'd use it against, like, Mortis. But no, he just set the whole situation up to be like, hey, you attack me with your beam, you're basically going to kill everybody here. But luckily, Medusa showed up in time and kind of helped save the day. I doubt Oron's dead, because it seems like whatever her power is, it seems like she heals very rapidly. Let's not forget, Medusa stabbed her and she came back to life and everything. Mortis seems to still be alive, so I think he's going to be the biggest threat for them. Because I don't know if Black Bolt's going to be willing to fight him per se, because it's like, he might not want to take the chance that, other people might get caught up in everything too. Like, we'll just kind of have to wait and see on that front. I mean, especially because for him, it's like, for Mortis, it's like his freedom's at stake here. So it's like, by doing all of this, he will ultimately get his freedom. Though, once again, let's not forget, the equation calls for Black Bolt to still be alive and everything. So, like I said, overall, a great episode. Like I said, I love the approach of, like, everyone is separated. But the fact of the matter is, there's little pieces. I think, each one of them basically has a human in their life that's going to help guide them. Human and or humans in their lives that's going to help them kind of, like, find their way to each other again. And they're going to grow from the situation. Because it's like, they've never had a big issue with humans. It's always just been like, let's avoid humans because of what's going down with the Inhumans down on Earth and everything. So, well, now I think about it too, I brought up the whole Declan holding all those Inhumans captive. I would assume maybe we end up finding out that Triton's at that place or maybe a different facility, but it's like, that guy has a connection to Maximus. What if Maximus set the whole thing up? Maybe, like, Declan does actually think he's doing the right thing, maybe he's doing research, but one of the guys, like, was, like, pulling up poison, which set off, like, Black Bolt and his friends. So it's kind of like, I don't know if it's, like, how much is Declan and how much is Maximus in this whole situation? Like I said, it doesn't seem like he knows exactly who Maximus is and the whole grand scale of everything. I don't know. We would just have to wait and see what's in store for us in the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.